many of you remember your middle school cafeteria? It's loud, it's chaotic, there's food flying everywhere. There's the table of the geeks and the jocks and the nerds, and in the middle, there's that awkward table where all the students sit awkwardly, hoping no one notices their awkwardness. I'm very familiar with the lunchroom because I work duty there, and every day I would notice this shy Navajo student. She never talked to anyone. She never ate anything. She would just sit and draw. And when it was time to go outside, she would stand against the brick wall, looking up at the sun, letting its rays shine down upon her, like a plant ready to blossom. At the end of the year, our 8th graders build boats out of duct tape and cardboard, and they race them across the local pool. Most sink. This girl, the flower, she brings this beautifully engineered shark-shaped boat. And she puts it in the water, and you can tell that she's a little bit nervous. She doesn't really know what she's doing. But in her face, the whole time, you can see her working it out, turning the paddle over. And she starts going, she gets a rhythm. She passes the rowdy group. She makes it to the end successfully, and she wins. And it was at that moment that I realized our current system is missing the quiet intelligence of students like her. I teach gifted in Farmington, and so I hear a lot about stereotypes. Gifted students always have 4.0s. They always do their homework, and they're very organized. Well, as my mom can attest to, these stereotypes rarely hold true for the middle-class white gifted student, let alone students that come from diverse communities or low-income families. I have this other student, Alex. Alex is brilliant. Most people would never know it because he's lazy. Alex rarely turns in his homework. He passes all of his classes, and he's currently designing a 3D animation on the computer for a hologram. So, as opposed to some stereotypes, here's some truth about giftedness. First, intelligence is inherited on the X chromosome. It's not a choice, it's not a privilege. 3 to 5% of any given population is gifted. We might be a little bit higher here today. And giftedness is a difference in how the brain processes information. It's not a work ethic. And because the brain processes information differently, students think and feel and move more intensely. And although my classroom sometimes feels like it's full of human pogo sticks, I recognize that this is a genetic predisposition to higher intelligences. So what does this mean for our low-income students and diverse students? Well, because they question things more deeply and they feel race and culture and class issues more intensely, they may appear argumentative or defiant. Some students, like Alex, have intense interests that have absolutely nothing to do with the curriculum. Other students may become leaders outside of school or against non-traditional students. And some come to reading late. So all of this sounds like a teacher's worst nightmare, right? And especially in this high-intensity testing environment where teachers are forced to focus on the bubble kids, preparing them for tests in reading and writing and math. Other students and other intelligences are deprioritized. I think it's important that we pay attention to these class clowns and know-it-alls, because when school stops firing the imagination, students get bored. They want to drop out, and they become at risk. And when students give up on the system because the institution fails to recognize their innate gifts, they might go looking for that recognition elsewhere. Maybe the street, maybe hacker communities. And one wonders, is this what fuels the school to prison pipeline? We can do better. And I propose 3 things. First, let's stop putting round pegs in square holes. Because let's face it, even the squarest of us has some rounded edges. And the highly intelligent student is never going to fit the norm. And by missing their gifts, We may miss out on the next Martin Luther King, Albert Einstein, or Steve Jobs. Second, let's start by assuming brilliance in every student from every culture. Instead of focusing on what a student can't or won't do, let's focus on what they can. Let's recognize that students can be bilingual and gifted. They can be good at music and sports. And let's help them develop all of this talent. Because a student with this many gifts has things to share with the world. Finally, let's fill classrooms with the tools to create, starting from that place where brilliance shines from the inside out. Let's fill classrooms with pallets to be made into vehicles and sheets of plastic to be made into holograms. And through this, we'll get the basics of reading and writing and math. We'll also get creativity and critical thinking. We'll get the entrepreneurial spirit of innovation. We'll get compassion and humanity that comes from working with diverse groups. And instead of us dragging students through the curriculum, they'll pull us along as they dream and build and look up and blossom. Thank you.